I just got racially profiled at Boston Logan International Airport this morning. I did hear days ago that TSA was selecting random people to do like these extra checkups and stuff like that, but I tried not to like stress about it because I was already so stressed out about the weather coming back home, and everything was perfect until I got to Boston. So I got off the plane and I had to go through immigration, which to my surprise was the easy part, at least just for me. Maybe not for everyone, but for me it was. And there was no sign whatsoever to say that you can't record and everything. But I know in the past there has been signs that said no cell phone use, and there's a reason why I brought this up. I wasn't recording at this point, but just keep up. So I did see people being treated a little rudely, but that's normal. I mean, sometimes, Bostonians were known for being rude sometimes, so whatever. So I go through immigration, I give them my passport. He asked me how long I was in Brazil for because I was traveling from Brazil. I told him roughly around like 2.5, 3 weeks because I had to change my ticket again because of the weather. So he just gave me my ticket. I don't know if he mumbled "you're all set" or anything, but he just kind of like gave me the passport and I just went on my merry way. Then I go downstairs, I get my luggage, everything seems fine so far. I'm walking towards the exit to get out the airport, and usually, if you know Boston Logan Airport, they have like these arrows that point you in the right direction for you to leave, and they usually don't have like that extra security for your luggage to go through and everything. But as I'm walking, I see all these people passing by. They're passing, passing, passing. Everyone has big suitcases, small suitcases, whatever. So, and then one of the TSA agents comes up to me and he's speaking to me in Spanish, which always, it was already a little bit confusing because I was like, why you automatically assume I speak Spanish? But I was like, hey, whatever, I've been told I look Latina. But, anyways, so he starts talking to me in Spanish, and I look at him and I'm like, I was kind of confused on what he was saying because I don't speak Spanish that much. And I just looked at him and I was like, yo no habla español. And he was like, oh, he had like the most confused look on his face. And he's like, Portuguese? And I was like, English. And he's like, oh, you speak English? It was that moment he knew he fucked up. So after that, he just started to explain to me on what I needed to do, to put my suitcase on the belt, whatever. So I go in, and then there's another TSA agent, and I ask him because I start noticing everyone passing, and there's only selective people coming where I am. I asked him, I was like, why are all those people just passing and we're over here? And he was like, oh, we're just selecting random people. I was like, what? Then I started to look around me, the people next to me, and they all looked very, very Hispanic. And then it just all started to make sense because I was like, why else would that guy just randomly start speaking to me in Spanish, just assuming that I speak Spanish? That it just, when I started to put two and two together, I was like, nah, this is fucked up. So he puts my suitcase on the belt. I had a bag with me that I had some grapes and like snacks and stuff like that with me that I brought all the way from Brazil with no problem. No problem at all. And I get there and he's like, do you have any fruits, any meats? I was like, I don't have any meats, but I do have some grapes right here. So he said he had to take them away. I was annoyed because I came all the way there with them and it was no problem. But I was like, whatever. Okay, they're just some grapes. I can get some other grapes. But he did ask multiple times about the meat, even though I said a million times, I said, no, there's no meat. I only have candy. There's only candy in there. I get to the other side where the suitcase came out and he puts it on like the table and everything. And he goes like this. He's like, oh, all set. And so I took my suitcase down. And when I took it down, he goes, oh, wait, I need to check the suitcase. And then I was like, okay, but why did you say all set? And then he was like, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. So I was like, whatever, okay. And then I was like, well, then come put it back up then. Because, like, it's a heavy suitcase. Like, and then he's like, oh, no, you can come back around in the line and put it through the belt again. I was like, forget it. So I just tried to put it up myself. I put it back up there. He checked it. He asked me again if there was any meat inside. I said, no, there's no meat. He starts opening up everything. And he's like, he starts asking, what's this? What's this? What's this? And he's like, oh, is there any chicharron? I didn't hear him the first time when he said it. So I was just like, what? I was like, any what? And then he said it again. But his accent, the way he said it, didn't really sound like chicharron. He said something like, but he did say chicharron. And then I was like, what? And then, so he thought I didn't know what he said. And he was explaining to me what it was. And I was like, no, I already said I don't have any meat. There's no meat in there. But the fact that he specifically said chicharrón, at that point, I was furious. So that's when I pulled out my phone and I started recording. And I was starting to talk about it, but I got it at the worst timing because that didn't even show when all the people were passing and me and the other passengers were stuck in this one little area. So I was already pissed off about that, but I was like, whatever. I started recording a little bit. This little tiny lady comes out of nowhere. She's a little blonde, short lady. And she's like, ma'am, you can't record, you can't take photos, whatever, over here. And then I was like, but there's no signs. I don't see any signs. And she was like, yeah, but she kept like stuttering and she was just like, yeah, but you can't take any photos down here and everything. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, I didn't see any signs and everything. So that's why I brought up, I didn't see any signs when I was up at the immigration, because I know a while ago that they used to have signs up there saying no cell phone use, but down where the suitcases are, I never seen a sign down there. And I don't know if it's true or not, but either way, there was no sign saying no cell phone use, no photos or anything like that. So I think they were just trying to hide something. And I am all for extra security. I am not upset with the extra security. It's the profiling that I'm upset with. I'm upset that they didn't do this extra security with everybody. Why did you pick us specifically to do this extra checkup? Share this, get the word out, let everyone know what is going on right now.